Please welcome Group Features Editor and unbelievable show host Justin Brierley, joined by Chief Executive of Premier Peter Kerridge.
Hello.
Hello.
What an evening it's been.
Amazing.
I know this is unscripted, but when you're joined by 3,000 friends, I just feel you can't resist taking a selfie. What do you reckon? Will you join us? Are you ready, Peter? This is it. Here we go. Right, so could everyone out there just raise your hands and give us a great big cheer, and we're going to take a great big selfie. Go for it. Yes. There we go. Thank you. That's going up on the Premier Facebook feed tonight. Peter, it's been an extraordinary evening. We've heard so much about the work of Premier. What would you say are some of the major highlights for you in the past 20 years?
Well, I have to say, it's like the whole place is full of 20 years of people. And I'm constantly amazed about how that early team of visionaries and donors managed to bring a Christian radio station into this world. It was a huge step of faith, which we shouldn't underestimate. The second thing is I'm so grateful in the last 20 years that we've had so many wonderful staff, directors, trustees, and hundreds of volunteers. You know, without them moving on that very early vision, Premier would not be here today. And thirdly, I'm so grateful for the thousands of people who are here tonight and the hundreds of thousands who are listening or watching the webcast who have shown the importance of their support and helped Premier to continue to be the strong Christian voice that we are right now across the UK. Without them, Premier would be off the air, literally off the air. But in the Cathedral today, there's 24 people who have supported Premier since before we even began. In 1993, they began their support. There's been 19 people here since 1995 who've consistently shown support, and 30 people who have been with us for over 10 years. It's amazing.
It is an extraordinary achievement. Here we are then, 2015, 20 years on, and 2015 itself has been a very significant year for Premier, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been a significant year. We had to fight to maintain our digital broadcast, and it was a tricky time. Funds were low. If you had asked me in some of the darker days, I wouldn't have thought we would have done it. But actually, by the grace of God, we managed to secure a license till 2028, securing a Christian voice across the UK. And it was your support, it was your petitioning, it was your prayers, your gifts that made that possible.
So we're looking forward to the next 20 years. Do give a round of applause, absolutely. And when we say Premier Christian Radio, we mean all of you, frankly, because it is a family. It's a family business. We're 20 years in. What does the next 20 years hold?
Well, the drama said it all, really. And these are the realities. The church has hemorrhaged children and young people over the last 20 years. And we want to help bring them back. So that was why we made the announcement about free resources from the 1st of August. Please go home, get everyone you know to download the resources and use them. They are truly amazing, and they will help to change the health of our churches up and down the country. You know, we're working with anybody who will work with us to enable a new generation to come to faith. I have to tell you, Scripture Union are here tonight, and they have made an absolutely amazing game. Children love games these days that you can play on the internet. It's really fantastic. It's called The Guardians of Ankara. It's cost them a lot of money to make.
It's brilliant. It's really good.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, look, The Guardians of Ankara is just one of many fantastic resources that we want to make available to children and young people across the church. And that is our aim in the next 5 years, to resource 80,000 children and youth workers and teachers in schools up and down the land so that they can bring a new generation to faith. We also want to bring 500,000 men to start a journey of faith in the next 5 years.
Amen.
We can do this. We really can do this. Everybody here knows men who are outside of the kingdom just now. We can bring them nearer to the Lord and start a journey of faith, and we're determined over the next 5 years to do that. We also know that there are at least 500,000 people who could ring Premier Lifeline in this next year. Right now we can't resource it, we can't fulfill that. 100,000 people ring every year right now. We want that to be 500,000 within 5 years. And that will make a major difference to the communities that you're in and the conversations that you have with the people in your churches who have problems that they can't necessarily bring out into the open face to face, but will talk over the anonymity of a telephone line. Finally, well, it's not finally, because an extra 1 million listeners a week for Premier in 5 years is really possible, because we're going across the UK and there is many, many people who can have their faith sustained by the broadcast that we bring. And we would need you to help us to share the fact that we're around. And Voice of Hope is a great tool for that. Most people in the UK who go to church will not have a devotional life in between visits to church. It's something over 90%. In some parts of the UK, it's 95% of people who go to church who will not pray or read their Bible in between visits. And they only visit once every 2 or 3 weeks. If you do that every year, you get less than 4 hours a year of Bible teaching. The average Premier listener receives 12 hours a week. That tells you the difference in temperature of spirituality Premier can make if more people were able and facilitated and knew about the difference it might make.
Having heard all of this tonight, Peter, what would you like our audience seated here in St. Paul's and our audience listening at home to do?
I'd like everyone who can hear my voice just now, whether here in St. Paul's or live across the UK on Premier or around the world on the webcast, to understand that the battle to keep Premier broadcasting isn't a one-off event, it's an hour-by-hour, day-by-day initiative. And it continues now. And we have to pay the monthly bills just like everybody else. And the national transmission and all the other costs need to be paid day in and day out. And we can only reach our nation with the hope of Jesus Christ together. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank each person for their ongoing financial and prayer support and your continued commitment to all that we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.